Hey, it's Ethan here at eTrailer. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Kuat NV 2.0 and how it fits on the back of our 2023 GMC Yukon XL. The NV 2.0 is a two-bike platform-style bike rack capable of supporting up to 60 pounds per bike. It's going to hold onto our bikes primarily by these frame hooks here and one strap in the back. So it doesn't make any frame contact, and as you can see, we have a carbon frame bike here, so it's not something that I'm going to be worried about, because if you do have something that makes frame contact, it could potentially damage it while you're driving. If you have alternative frame style bikes, this should work for that as well. One of the most important features about this bike rack is the ability for it to tilt away with the bike's loaded. So if you pull this lever here front, you tilt it down, and it is pretty aggressive, so if you do have a bike loaded up on the front, it could be a little bit tricky to get to. But to open our hatch, we have plenty of clearance in our case. To get back here, sit down if we need to, change shoes, whatever we need to do before the ride, get helmets, water, anything that we're going to need out on the trail. To get our bike removed, we'll first start with this strap in the back. Just release that gray lever and come up to the front here. There's a very large button on the wheel hook. Push that, pull it up, tilt it down, and then we get full clearance to get our bike up and away. Now that the bike's removed, we can talk about some features of the tray, starting with this integrated cable lock that will just reattach to itself, just like that. It's nice that that is just built in, so you don't have to remember to bring it extra. Tilting this away, we can talk a little bit more about the cradles themselves. They support up to a 3-inch tire, but they can support up to 5 inches if you get the fat bike adapter. And the back here, these cradles, or just along the tray, the straps do slide to support different wheelbases up to 50 inches. With the rack down in this position, it does stick out a little bit from the back of the vehicle, so we'll just measure to see exactly how much. From the bumper to the furthest point back, being the bike repair stand, about 31.5 inches. As far as ground clearance goes, from the furthest end to the back, again, probably that stand gets us about 31.5 inches, and that's about as high as you're going to have to lift the tallest bike that you're going to need to get up there. So with that 60 pounds, you might be loading and unloading heavy bikes. The Yukon does sit pretty high, and there's a little bit of a rise, so keep that measurement in mind as far as how high you're going to have to lift those heavy bikes. If you want to save some of that space, you can use the same lever we used to tilt the bike rack away. Fold it up towards the vehicle. Now we'll grab that new measurement to see how much space we've saved. So from the bumper to the furthest point back in our case now, about 15 inches, so it definitely saves us some space. It doesn't sit close enough that I'm going to be worried about getting an exact measurement, but if you want to know how much ground clearance you'll have with the folded up position, it's going to be wherever your shank is, because it shoots straight out from there at 21.5 inches in our case. With the rack folded up, now we have access to our bike repair stand, which we can get to by first undoing this release here, pulling it up, and rotating it towards wherever we're going to need to. Then we can undo this knob here at the end to get it to the point where we can put a bike in. I will say one of the main features that I like about this bike rack is that it doesn't make frame contact, and when you repair it, obviously it's going to have to hold it by the frame. Granted, you won't be driving at the time, so it's not something that's probably going to be doing damage, but definitely something to keep in mind. As far as coverage goes from the back of our vehicle, you can still have pretty much most visibility for your license plate. Your backup camera is probably going to be at least partially obstructed, but should be able to see over it a little bit and then some of the gaps around it. Doesn't cover any of our taillights, and the rear window is pretty much fully visible as well. The shank is a 2-inch shank that fits into our 2-inch receiver tube, held in place by this pin and the lock on the end that's key-like to those cable locks we talked about earlier, all secured by this anti-rattle knob at the end. Just tighten that, and that takes all the shake and play out of the rack. Overall, the Kuat NV 2.0 is a really nice bike rack. It really looks nice, and it tilts far enough away that we can get into the back with the bikes loaded up. The bike repair stand is obviously a nice add-on as well. I would say if you're looking for something like this and you want something similar, maybe check out the Rocky Mounts monorail. You get a lot of the same features at just a little bit more of an affordable price. That being said, if you want something that looks really nice to the eye and gets everything done at the same time, the Kuat NV 2.0 is definitely a great option, and a really nice fit on the 2023 GMC Yukon XL.